Good afternoon, Commissioners. This is Troy, your host. We are live and recording.
Issues?
He's got it.
Okay. So with that, we'll begin with our invocation, and we will today do a moment of silence. So if you'll join me in a moment of silence, please. Okay, thank you very much. So it is 1:30 on Tuesday, the 23rd of May. I'll call this meeting to order of our regular business meeting. If you'll all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Attorney Garcia, do we have certification of today's agenda?
Yes, the county attorney's office has reviewed the agenda, and the board has jurisdiction over all matters.
Great, thank you. And do any commissioners have disclosures for items on this agenda today?
I have none, thank you.
No, sir.
And I have none either. With that, we'll move on to item 2 today, which is ceremonies and proclamations. Really honored to begin today's presentation with 2A, a resolution declaring May 19th through the 25th, 2023 as National Public Works Week in Douglas County, Colorado. Janet Herman presenting for staff, along with Dan Roberts. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. I just want to point out we do have a few of our Public Works employees in the audience. If you guys would stand up, please. And we do have a resolution that we would like to read, if that's okay, and Dan Roberts is going to read that for us. And he's our Assistant Director of Public Works Operations.
Please. Thank you, Janet. Thank you, Dan.
Resolution declaring May 19th through the 25th of 2023 as National Public Works Week in Douglas County, Colorado. Whereas the Board of Douglas County Commissioners declare that they will govern with excellence, reflecting community values through fiscal responsibility, transparency, and accountability to safeguard the quality of life for all generations. And whereas Public Works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and fleet services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of Douglas County, Colorado. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and fleet services could not be provided without the dedicated and passionate efforts of Public Works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees of Douglas County, as well as within the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our transportation infrastructure, water quality, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, taxpayers, and civic leaders in Douglas County, Colorado to gain knowledge of and recognize the importance of Public Works professionals and Public Works programs, now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of the County of Douglas that the week of May 19th through 25th, 2023 shall be recognized as National Public Works Week in Douglas County, Colorado, as we pay tribute to our Public Works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, recognizing the substantial contributions that they make to protecting the health, safety, and quality of life for the citizens and taxpayers of Douglas County.
Dan, thank you so much for that. Any commissioner comment or questions?
Well, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Janet, Dan, and all your staff who are here. You know, when you think about the complaints that commissioners receive, a lot of them are about potholes and roads and ice during the winter and snow not being plowed. And you are the ones that go out there and solve a lot of those everyday annoyances for citizens. And in my 7 years of being here, I recognize most of you here in the audience. And I'd like to welcome, there's a couple of interns here that I met yesterday at the picnic that you all had. So I hope this is the beginning of a really good opportunity for you. And eventually, you'll be one of these people sitting here serving the public in public works. So welcome. And from the citizens of Douglas County, thank you to all of you for what you do for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Commissioner Teal?
You know, I think the numbers tell the story. If you look at our budget every year, I mean, we're entrusting you guys with a very large portion, practically, you know, to the majority of the dollars that the county uses every year. And the focus that we have in response to the residents here in the county, to keeping our roads safe, keeping our roads open, and making it easy to get around, you know, it shows. But that's a lot of responsibility. It's responsibility we give to you guys. And the nice thing is that I always feel pretty good voting on our road projects because it's responsibility that has been demonstrated to be exceptional in performance. So heck yeah, let's vote yes on this resolution. Oh wait. You might have a comment first.
Thank you, Commissioner Teal. And I'll just echo my colleagues. I mean, Public Works, it's the unsung heroes of Douglas County. But in so many ways, you're sort of the vice presidents of first impressions for many of our residents. And, you know, I'm a fifth-generation Coloradan, so I'm used to the weather being unpredictable. But you do hear from a lot of new neighbors that come to Douglas County, and they get that cold snap in late April, sometimes early May, and they feel like a contract got broken with them. But, you know, you go out there and you take care of our roads and make sure that they're safe and that we have mobility in our community. And I know that's appreciated by everyone, new and old. So thank you so much for all you do. Greatly appreciate it. So with that, I will accept a motion.
If it pleases the board, it is my pleasure to make a motion to approve a resolution declaring May 19 through 25, 2023, National Public Works Week in Douglas County, Colorado.
I'll second that. Do we need citizen comment?
Not on a proclamation, I don't think, do we?
No, sir.
So no, we don't need citizen comment on a proclamation.
Thank you. I thought maybe someone would like to say something.
Thanks. I think we heard from Dan and Janet and really appreciate our Public Works Department. Great job, guys. So we have a first and I believe a second on the floor. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Now I'm really honored to recognize a member of our Douglas County family that has been with us for 20 years. Today we're doing an employee recognition of Andy Howe for 20 years of service. And Dan Dirtz presenting on behalf of the staff.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Dan Dirtz, Director of Open Space and Natural Resources. Today is my pleasure to honor Andy Howe for his 20 years of service here at Douglas County. One of the things that makes Douglas County such a special place to work is our commitment, a commitment to serve. And Andy is actually one of those people that embodies this all the way throughout his career. As artillery officer for the U.S. Army, service was very important to him. CPW, the work that he did with CPW for the years, it was his dedication to service that led him through that. Through his church community, Andy is a leader and constantly there to serve others. Andy does this time and time again for us. Andy is a wealth of knowledge. He understands natural resources better than almost anybody that I've ever talked to. He's been a tremendous help to me during my time with Open Space. Certainly one of the people that I look to when work needs to get done. Andy will raise his hand. He'll be the first and foremost to raise his hand to get things done. Because it's baseball season, I'll just name three projects, three strikes type deal. But probably the three projects that Andy's worked on in his career here in Douglas County. The wildlife movement corridors that we have noted throughout the county are largely in part by the work that Andy's put in. Very important work to identify and to to map where wildlife move throughout the county. Andy's been a tremendous part of that. That led him into work that we did along I-25 when we were trying to protect the public from animals getting across I-25. Andy played a huge role in making sure that we created some fencing along I-25 to keep people and our wildlife safe. And then the work that he's done out at the Hidden Mesa Orchard, I can only say that so many of our volunteers for the open space program that we rely so heavily upon have been huge benefactors for being able to work out there. It's a place that creates community. People come together. Not only do they come together to help grow, but then the fruits of those, their service, ends up going to the Parker Task Force and ends up feeding community of need. And I don't think that would be possible without Andy. So I just want to commend him on his work for those things. And without further ado, I give you Andy Howe.
Thank you, Dan. Andy.
Appreciate it.
And Andy, I understand that you were joined today by your wife and your kids. If you all want to stand and be recognized as well, thank you for being here.
My wife Kimberly on the left, Kylie, Kiana, and we got Eli taking a nap on the floor there. So.
Okay. Well, thank you for celebrating your dad and your granddad today.
We also have Jeff and Al here. There are two of my lead volunteers that have stuck with me through thick and thin, and they're like the lieutenants that run the place there. So thank you for being here as well.
Wonderful.
Well, I thank you very much for this opportunity, and I am very grateful to Douglas County for all the opportunities and having a small staff and being real tight-knit and, Jefferson County, for instance, has, last I counted, over 120 employees managing 3 times the land that we have. So, I mean, they outnumber us, 12-fold. And, but having a small staff means we get to do many things, and it has been wonderful being able to be the liaison to the county to many natural resource agencies. And I just had a huge meeting with the Forest Service and a bunch of partners there, shaping policy for a 6-county region and, saving recreational shooting that, could go away otherwise. We are working with the Forest Service again for just entirely revamping their planning for fuels mitigation and forest health throughout most of the Pike National Forest. And it'll have huge implications for fire safety for our communities and for the water systems that were choked during the Hayman fire. That won't happen again with the work that we're doing there. Wildlife, as Dan said, we were the first county to have a wildlife plan in our comprehensive master plan. And we still may be the only one. I don't know. There are not many, if any, that have it out of 64 counties in Colorado. That brought in about $48 million in wildlife concessions through the I-25 GAP projects. We got 5 underpasses. We got close to $8 million toward an overpass, seeking another $22 million here coming up. It'll be one of the largest wildlife overpasses in the world and the one in the most urbanized area. So it's something to be proud of. We've protected 55 square miles of wildlife habitat over the last 25 years in that corridor. So we were able to, leverage CDOT. And again, the orchard, like Dan said, it's been my passion, and we've trialed over 500 varieties of fruits and nuts for suitability on the Front Range. We're pumping that information out through our website, through tours, we do conferences, multiple conferences a year, and we speak to environmental health communities, agriculture, Rocky Mountain Land Use Institute, all over the place, and we're pushing this information out, making people more successful in what they do. And over 30,000 pounds of produce has gone into the Parker Task Force. And so, I get to do all this stuff, and you pay me for it. So it's been a great ride, and I really appreciate the opportunity.
Andy, thank you so much for that. If you'll stay put, I know we have a couple of commissioner comments for you. Any commissioner comments?
Thank you.
So, Andy, thank you for everything you've done for the citizens of this county. I remember in 2016, you took my family and I on a tour of the Hidden Mesa. And my granddaughter loved pulling up that carrot and eating it. And she still talks about it. We have that picture.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And I just think it's amazing that you were able to do so much on that open space that impacts so many others. I remember seeing Kim in the truck when you were at the Sandstone Ranch. And Kim had a significant health scare, and we were all praying for all of you. So we all really are family here. So thank you for your years of dedication to the county. And I bet you and your family are going to continue to produce and be an important part of the community here in Douglas County. So again, thank you for your time and your service, and your family for supporting you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Commissioner Teal.
Well, I don't know that everybody knows, but Andy is he is the actual worker bee on the Southern Shooting Partnership. And that's not just me saying that about one of our employees, but I think if you talk to the other commissioners who are associated with the Southern Shooting Partnership, they'll point to Andy as the real leadership core of that project. And I mean, boy, Andy, what a Monday morning we had on the Southern Shooting Partnership, from the head of the Forest Service talking about wanting to pull the plug on it, to then that very interesting communication we received from CPW, which probably isn't quite ready for prime time to share with everyone yet, but it's what I say in the email. That's what I call good news. So it's thanks to Andy and his work that we're getting those opportunities, that even when we see the Forest Service taking steps to curb recreational shooting in the forest, it's the work that Andy's doing, it's the work we're all banding around Andy to do, that are going to preserve our capability to exercise our Second Amendment rights here in this county and the other counties that encompass the Pike National Forest. So from that perspective, and of course defense of our Constitution is usually my default position. But, and then, hey, Andy, thanks for the great advice with Hidden Mesa. I've got the raspberry varietals and the grape varietals that you detailed in your report. Those went into the ground at 931 Eaglestone Drive here in the last 2 weeks, and I haven't killed them yet. They're still thriving. So, all the good work you do. You're a great leader in the team. You're a great leader here in the county, and I appreciate you being around, buddy.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Thank you, Commissioner Teal. In my 5 years now being a commissioner, I have to say that every interaction with Andy Howe has really reflected what we see in the best of Douglas County staff. It's a really good person doing great work. When we ask for a memo from Andy, it is detailed. It is providing all of that granular information, and it really reflects that passion. I think what's really great about Andy is that you also reflect our philosophies in Douglas County, which isn't to harm natural resources. It's because of our deep love for natural resources, being Coloradans and Douglas County residents, and I think we see that in all of your work. I remember so early on your focus on wildfire mitigation before we started the Douglas County Wildfire Mitigation Initiative, and dealing with the federal government when it comes to NEPA, and realizing that if we don't mitigate our forests, they're going to burn up. Instead of preserving every single tree that will eventually burn, making sure that we're being thoughtful about treating and mitigating is a wise message that you have carried so well to the federal government. So I want to thank you for that, and boy, 20 years is no small feat. So if you all rise and join me in a round of applause for Andy.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Andy. So with that, we will move on to item 3 in today's business agenda, which is our consent agenda. Let me first ask if there is any citizen comment with regard to any item on our consent agenda. Is there any citizen comment? Troy, do we have any citizen comment online?
Thank you, Commissioner. I have no online comment.
Okay, thank you, Troy. And with that, I'll close citizen comment and bring it back to the board for any further discussion and or a motion.
I have a motion to approve the request in all items A through U of the consent agenda. Item V has been removed.
I will second.
So we have a first and second on the floor. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that motion carries. With that, we'll move to item 4, which is our regular agenda for today, beginning with item A. And item A is a first reading of ordinance number O-023-002, an ordinance for the safe use of public property to limit public camping and prohibit temporary structures on public property within the unincorporated portions of Douglas County, Colorado. Our new county attorney, Jeff Garcia, presenting for staff. Hi, Jeff.
Hi, thank you.
You had to walk from the dais over to the presenting podium.
It is a different view. I
It
like
is, yeah.
So the goal of the ordinance, as it's been presented, is to prohibit camping on public property without written permission by the county unless no other shelter is available. In addition, it limits the erection of temporary structure on county property without written permission from the county. If there is a violation of this ordinance, it is punishable by a $1,000 fine. The goal of the ordinance is to provide for public health, safety, and well-being, especially for those using our county property, and to assist those who are seeking shelter to find safe and appropriate shelter. I'm asking the board to adopt on first reading ordinance 023-2 and move it forward for publication and second reading.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Any questions for Jeff?
I have none.
No questions.
You know, I don't have any questions, but I do have maybe a couple of comments. And it's a high note of gratitude to Jeff for being so proactive with regard to this particular ordinance. And maybe I do have one question, which is, would you reference for us some of the recent jurisprudence out of Boulder County?
Yeah, absolutely. So the ordinance comes about working through the Douglas County Homeless Initiative and some of the briefings that we received, both from our office and from our partners throughout the community. Feet Forward versus the City of Boulder has addressed many of the issues that are addressed in this ordinance. The freedom of movement, constitutional right to access public property, whether or not there is an unalienable right to rest in public places. All those have been addressed in that case. Right now, we do not have a 10th District Court case, the district court that caller resides in, that addresses this specifically. However, we do have support from the 9th and 8th districts. So this question is clearly before our community. It's clearly before the state. It's something that is being addressed. We have crafted our ordinance to avoid those areas that have been found and treated negatively by the Feet Forward case, so that if there is a challenge to our ordinance, we're already doing exactly what the court has asked us to do, and we are following the court's direction to provide for our community safety.
Jeff, thank you for that. And, you know, I'm really honored to be part of this first reading today, primarily because I remember vividly working with my son and a group of volunteers to clean up part of my district when a community organization had us all volunteered to do some litter and cleaning up in and around parks and areas in Lone Tree. And both my son and I encountered an encampment right at the corner of Lincoln and Yosemite, where it was more than just tents. It was liquor paraphernalia and needles and all sorts of things that probably are pretty unmentionable here. My son, who's now 6'2", he was 11 at the time, and was pretty concerned about what he was seeing. And I remember calling up Councilman Jay Carpenter from Lone Tree and saying, "Hey, are you seeing this in your city?" And his response was, "Yeah, I'm over by the Chili's at Lincoln and I-25 and seeing kind of the same thing." So from that, we started this community conversation around the Douglas County Homeless Initiative. And through the support of this board, we've been able to move forward in a really significant way. I know this last year, we were pleased to report a 46% reduction in overall homelessness in Douglas County. We've launched the HEART team, which is the Homeless Engagement Assistance Resource Team, that co-response team, a navigator paired with law enforcement, that are able to go out with a citizen call to engage with people experiencing homelessness and either get them to services, or if they're doing something unsafe or illegal, to address that from a law enforcement standpoint. I know our Sheriff, Darren Weekly, has been very vocal about his support for the Homeless Initiative and his willingness to engage when it comes to camping that violates this ordinance that hopefully gets passed today. When you look at cities like Seattle and Portland and San Francisco, where rampant camping is allowed to persist at the expense of citizens, of taxpayers, of the business community. And there's sort of a blind eye that's turned to those sort of encampments. I'm really proud of the elected officials in Douglas County, my colleagues, the mayors and council members from the municipalities that have uniformly supported this campaign, including our campaign around Handouts Don't Help. I know we have 20 signs throughout the county encouraging our citizens to give generously to a trusted community foundation. And I know there's Mike Wade right there in the back, the director of the Douglas County Community Foundation, which is already receiving a lot of resources towards Help and Hope and other food banks to help people in a trusted way. We've seen panhandling begin to really dry up in Douglas County as a result. So I think that this camping ban will continue to build upon the hard work of the Homeless Initiative and hopefully get us to a place of functional zero. So that point in time is not only reduced by 46%, but by 100% in a time probably not too far from here. So thank you for that. Let me ask if there's any further comments or questions from the board.
Could I just ask Mr. Garcia if you could walk through what the process is? Since this is the first reading, what will be the process before this goes into effect, please?
We'll put this in publication, so we'll print this in the newspaper, and then we will schedule a second and final reading if there is a affirmative vote today, and I believe that is scheduled for the 20th of June, and the only reason that we have a delay on that is because of the publication deadlines.
Thank you. And so it will become effective June 28th?
It would I believe it would become effective 30 days thereafter. So I'm looking, I don't have the calendar in front of me, but sometime in July.
Thank you for that information. I have no other questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Additional comments or questions from the board?
No questions.
Okay, and with that, I'll open it up for any citizen comment. Is there any citizen comment with regard to this item 4A? Okay, Troy, any citizen comment online?
Thank you, Commissioner. I have no online comment.
Okay, thank you, Troy. And with that, I'll close citizen comment and bring it back to the board for any further discussion and or a motion.
When we first started talking about the homeless initiative, I was in doubt. I was in doubt of any real result. And I was willing to entertain the conversation because, Abe, I know this was something you felt very strongly about. And you felt like this was something that we could take action on, we could move forward on in a way that our residents would approve. I didn't believe you. I did not, I thought this was going to be a fool's errand from start to finish. I did not feel like the judiciary was in our favor. I did not feel like the judiciary of Colorado was in the favor of the residents of Colorado. And it was a fool's errand. But, you know, I went with it, and we got yelled at a few times, and we had to go down a couple dead ends. And I'm glad we went down those dead ends because, quite frankly, they shaped the ultimate direction that we ended up going. And, of course, I think we need to add a note of congratulations to our new county attorney for being open-minded, coming into a new position, and willing to tackle this pervasive problem that has made up so much of my time here on the board. And there were several times that I almost turned away from the course with you because, again, I couldn't see the end. Thank you for your leadership, my friend. Thank you for not losing that vision that you had, because for those of you that may not know, this ordinance, this is exactly what Abe has been wanting to do this entire time. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to say it's word for word, a copy and paste from what was going on in your brain. But the bottom line is, this is what Abe's been working towards this whole time. And everything else that we looked at was meant to get to this ultimate end that, as the county attorney just pointed out, we actually needed a judicial decision to make this day possible. So, I don't know, maybe we send that judge flowers or something, I don't know. But the bottom line is, even with that judge's decision, I don't know that we would be here today without your leadership, Commissioner Layden. And so it is my privilege, if it pleases the board, to make a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance number O-023-002, an ordinance for safe use of public property to limit camping and prohibit temporary structures on public property within the unincorporated portions of Douglas County, Colorado, for publication and second reading at public hearing.
Second.
So we have a first and second on the floor. Any further discussion? I'll just express my gratitude for those comments. Being a commissioner, there's always a myriad of issues that we're tackling, and we're very different people, and I think that's why the people of this county elect us, is for those different viewpoints. But I can't tell you the incredible value it is to have friends and colleagues that maybe are not sure, but they trust in your vision, they believe in your leadership, and they're willing to support to the end. And so thank you for that. I appreciate those comments, George, very much. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that motion carries 3-0. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
So with that, we'll move to item 4B on our regular agenda today. And 4B is an amendment 4 to public contract for services with Felsberg, Holt, and Ulevig Incorporated in the amount of $226,418, and a contract time extension for completing final design on the segment of County Line Road from University Boulevard to Broadway, Douglas County project number CI 2020-013. Benjamin Pierce presenting for staff. Hi, Benjamin.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you for having me today. I do have a presentation that I will be showing, so when there is, let's see. I believe there's new technology since I was here last. There we go. Excellent. Well, again, as you mentioned, I'm Ben Pierce with the Public Works Engineering to talk today about the Amendment 4 to Professional Service Agreement with FHU for the County Line Road project from University to Broadway. So just a reminder on the project overview. It's been a little while since I've been in front of the board to discuss the project. The general overview of the project is we're widening and reconstructing County Line Road between University and Broadway. And as part of that project, we'll be widening from 1 lane in each direction to 2 lanes in each direction with additional turn lanes as warranted by the traffic analysis. Additionally, there will be a new traffic signal at the intersection of Clarkson and County Line Road, and a reconstructed signal at the access to the Target on the south side in Douglas County. The project partners for this project are obviously Highlands Ranch and the unincorporated Douglas County on the south side of County Line Road, and we're also working with Centennial and the city of Littleton on the north side of the road, which are in Arapahoe County. In addition to the road improvements for this project, we'll also be installing a urban storm sewer system, which will collect and detain and treat the water in accordance with modern water quality standards as required. And for a little bit of background and refresher on the design contract and why we're at Amendment 4 and how the tasks have been set up on this project. So Task A was the original public contract for services from 2020 for an amount of just under $500,000. And the Task A and Task B were initially meant to be sort of the final design contract, but split up really for funding reasons between 2020 and 2021. So that's where the PCS Amendment 1 was really to finish that initial final design phase. And then Contract Amendment 2 was just a term extension that did not include any additional funding. And then in 2022, there was the Contract Amendment number 3 for $120,000, and that was really for additional final design, and more importantly, it was for some new utility and hydraulic design that was needed that we didn't previously know about. And so that includes reconstructing and relocating a 24-inch Denver water line that runs down the center of County Line Road that was needed as part of the project, and that design service was needed to be added to the contract. And then additionally, there was some work with FEMA on the floodplain for Lee Gulch that goes north through the project and is partly where the water quality and detention ponds are going to be. And then today, what I'm here to discuss is Task C2, which is really PCS Amendment Number 4, for an amount of $226,418. And what that funding is for is to finish the final design. We've received lots of comments from both Douglas County staff, including myself, on the project, and other project stakeholders like CDOT, Centennial, and Littleton, as well as SEMSWA, which is an organization in Arapahoe County that oversees water quality and storm sewer systems. In addition to that, there's additional environmental investigation that was needed. We had to change the limits of our project a little bit, so there was an additional investigation needed there. And then also utility coordination and structures analysis, which was just work that came up through the course of completing the final design up to the point that we have currently. So all told, with these 4 contract amendments, including proposed amendment contract amendment number 4, is a total contract value of $1.225 million, which is a little less than 5% of the total estimated construction cost for the project, which is currently estimated to be about $25 million. And then just to provide an update on schedule and kind of where we're at on the project and when we'll be seeing additional steps taken. So we're currently in the process of acquiring right-of-way, permanent and temporary easements needed for the project. So Douglas County is handling everything on the south side of the road, and our project partners are handling everything on the north side of the road. And then FHU's final design documents will be completed this fall. And then our final clearances and approval of bid documents from CDOT, since this is a federally funded project that we received $10 million from DRCOG. It is a local agency project that the approval really goes through CDOT for us to be able to bid this project. So we're anticipating that being completed by the end of this year, but it is dependent on us completing our right-of-way acquisitions. And because we're dealing with numerous different property owners, the timeline for that is not always as straightforward as an engineer like me would prefer. And then there's also some additional utility relocations that will happen prior to construction over the winter and early in the spring next year. And then there's other utility relocations which will be concurrent with construction. And with that, assuming everything continues going to plan, we plan to start construction later this year, towards the end of 2023 or early next year, just depending on how the rest of these items get wrapped up. And then we have a little bit of flexibility in our construction phasing, so the anticipated completion, regardless of whether we start the project later this year or early next year, will be sometime in the summer of 2025. So with that, staff is recommending approval of Amendment 4 to the PCS to FHU for the County Line University to Broadway project. I'd be happy to answer any questions from the board.
Benjamin, thank you for that. Any questions for staff?
I don't have any questions. In listening to that long explanation of what we're doing, you really made it clear why it takes so long to get road improvements done. You just don't have to cut down some of the bank there and maybe get rid of some trees and put down some asphalt. So there's a lot of work you have to do here. And I think when I read this packet, what really was important to me, that really rang out to me, is that Douglas County always says that partnerships are the best way to get things done. And when I look at this cover sheet here, we've got DRCOG involved, we have Littleton involved, we have Centennial involved, we have Douglas County involved, you've talked about SEMSWA. So it's all these agencies coming together and working together for the residents that helps make it such a great project. So Janet, thank you for your team. Ben, thank you for what you've done to get this going, and we'll be looking forward to getting it done since it is at the north end of my district. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Commissioner Teal?
Yeah, I mean, Commissioner Thomas isn't wrong. This was really a cool team effort, going all the way back to the very beginning. And, Janet, we probably need a healthy dose of thanks to Art Griffith, because he kind of snuck this one in during the DRCOG finance plan. And initially, I think many members of the Dr. County Subregional from around the county, we got to remember, planning on this one started, guys, when I was still a member of the Castle Rock Council. And I was representing Castle Rock on DRCOG. And I know my first reaction was, why in the world are we going to do that? It's on the edge of the county. Why should we be the ones lifting the full weight on this one? And Art brought it back that, well, no, actually, this came from Littleton. Littleton is the one who approached us. And it was very early when the sub-regional process was brand new. And Littleton brought it to us and said, hey, can we team up on this? And they'd work to bring Arapahoe County on board. They'd work to bring Centennial on board. And so then once Roger didn't try pitching this. He sent Art in to bird dog all of us from the municipalities first. And Art said, listen, this is just really great synergy. We've got an active partner in Littleton. We've got an active partner in Arapahoe County. And let's try to put something together. And as they say, let's make a baby. And if you look at the total cost of this one, and Benjamin, you had that, this is really a relatively cheap project by DRCOG standards. And so it sort of became the child that nobody knew they wanted, and then suddenly everybody wanted. And so, big thanks to Art. I don't know, Janet, were you guys, putting projects up on the board one day and brainstorming and thinking, hey, wait a minute. But I think this is a great project. It'll give a great alternate east-west opportunity for the people of Highlands Ranch specifically, but also our neighbors across the county line in Littleton and Centennial besides E470. So, this you're right, Commissioner Thomas. This is a really great example of teamwork across the board.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Teal, and I would echo my colleagues' sentiments. I mean, this is certainly a high-traffic, high-volume area, and I know my family and those that I represent often use this corridor, so I know this will be a really significant plus. I also would take this opportunity to highlight the incredible leadership of Janet Herman, who's been with the county for so long, but really heads our Public Works and Engineering Department and does so in such a phenomenal, expert-driven way, so thank you for that. So with that, let me open it up for any citizen comment. Is there any citizen comment with regard to this item? Troy, do we have any citizen comment online?
Thank you, sir. I have no online comment.
Okay, and with that, I'll close citizen comment and bring it back to the board for any further discussion and or a motion.
I have a motion to approve Amendment 4 to public contract for services with Felsberg, Holt, and Ullvig Incorporated in the amount of $226,418 and a contract time extension for completing final design on the segment of County Line Road from University Boulevard to Broadway, Douglas County Project Number CI 2020-013.
Good project. Second.
So we have a first and second on the floor. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that motion carries 3-0. Thanks, Benjamin.
Thank you very much.
So with that, we'll move to our last item on today's agenda, which is a memorandum of understanding between Douglas County and the Douglas County Community Foundation with an annual contribution of $65,000. Jennifer Eby presenting for staff. Hi, Jen.
Good morning. Good afternoon. Okay, so yes, Jennifer Eby representing Community Development. No. So the request before you today is to approve the Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU, between Douglas County and the Douglas County Community Foundation, or DCCF. And just to give a bit of background on this, since 2018, Douglas County has supported a community fund model by working in partnership with DCCF to create a long-term, community-based fund source to address a variety of needs in Douglas County. So through discussions with DCCF Board of Directors, it was determined that initiation of a community fund model must begin really by building the Douglas County Community Foundation's organizational infrastructure so that they could support these efforts. So to initiate this process, Douglas County and DCCF approved an initial MOU in June of 2018, through which the board contributed $100,000 to DCCF. Both parties agreed to reevaluate this partnership annually for up to a 3-year period. And at this point, this partnership has continued over the last 5 years. And over the last 5 years, Douglas County has contributed $380,000 to DCCF to enhance their operations. So the proposed MOU before you today automatically renews on December 31st annually and includes an annual Douglas County contribution of $65,000 to DCCF for the continued support of their operations. In accordance with the MOU, DCCF will provide an annual financial report detailing the use of the funds and a detailed report of the donations that the Community Foundation receives and how they are distributed during the year. The MOU also maintains that Douglas County will continue to have a seat on the DCCF Board of Directors as a voting board member. So staff recommends approval of the MOU between Douglas County and DCCF, providing an annual contribution of $65,000 to DCCF to support operational costs as it complies with all county approval standards and policies. And this concludes my presentation. I am happy to answer any questions that you may have. Also, Mike Wade, the Executive Director for the Housing or the Douglas County Community Foundation, is also here and able to answer questions.
Thank you, Jen. And also a huge note of gratitude to you. You helped facilitate 2 projects, many projects, but 2 certainly that are near and dear to my heart, the Douglas County Homeless Initiative and also your ongoing work with the Community Foundation. Greatly appreciated. Let me ask Mike Wade, do you have any comments for us, sir? And welcome.
Thank you for this opportunity to be with you guys, and thank you for this consideration. Actually, the only comment at this point, unless I have any questions that I can answer, I'm actually going to steal one of Commissioner Thomas's comments from the previous item that is very applicable to what this is, and that is, in Douglas County, partnerships are how things get done. And being the philanthropic partner of Douglas County is the way that we are getting things done for those in Douglas County who need help. This is how we help to make our community a better place. So whether it's from the Douglas Has Heart Fund, which I'm happy to say we should be able to announce another distribution here shortly, to the increase in community grants that we've provided to other nonprofit organizations in Douglas County, all the way down to our consultancy services. I met with an individual right before this meeting who is contemplating opening and starting a foundation in Douglas County after receiving an inheritance. And being able to be that friend in the nonprofit business means that in Douglas County, we not only lead in a lot of other ways, but we will begin to and continue to lead in the world of philanthropy. So thank you for your consideration today.
Mike, thank you. Any questions or comments for Jen or for Mike?
I have none.
No questions.
I don't have any questions, but my comments are, again, gratitude. Working with the Community Foundation over the last 5 years, the level of effort that you have put in to leading this organization and really creating the Red Cross of Douglas County under the mantra of give where you live. You're giving the citizens of this community an opportunity to engage civically, to contribute to nonprofits. How many nonprofits are do you help serve?
So there's 2 numbers that we commonly use. There are over 500 registered 501c3s in Douglas County, but we qualify that there are over 320 active, because there are some that are like the booster club for the sports team that only do something very specific for one specific group. We have, depending on the time of the year, we have between the 2nd highest concentration of 501c3s in the nation or the highest concentration per capita. So I say it all the time that in Douglas County, if you have a passion and you have a cause to help our community, there's an organization that fills that need. So we have a large group of very heartfelt givers in Douglas County.
Yeah, very philanthropic community members, and your organization helps support all of them. So we're really proud of your work and thankful for the leadership of the board. With that, let me open it up for any citizen comment. Is there any citizen comment in the room with regard to this item? Okay, Troy, do we have any citizen comment online?
Thank you, Commissioner. I have no online comment.
Okay, thank you, Troy. And with that, I'll close citizen comment. Bring it back to the board for any further discussion and/or a motion.
Please the board, I do have a motion to approve a memorandum of understanding between Douglas County and Douglas County Community Foundation with an annual contribution of $65,000.
I'll second that.
So we have a first and second on the floor. Any further discussion?
If I could just add that in 2018, when the commissioners first started partnering with the Douglas County Community Foundation, the agreement is that we would share part of the Miller money with them for up to 3 years. And that was really a hard decision for me to make. But I did make that commitment to do it for 3 years, and so I will keep that commitment of funding it for up to 3 years, and so I will be voting no on this.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, I think the Community Foundation, maybe it's the difference between, leadership team then, leadership team now, but I don't know. I feel like there's a reason to reinforce success, and I see good things being done, so let's go for the vote so I can vote yes.
I'm with you. And before I accept that call for the vote or make that call for the vote, I was just at a meeting at the Community Foundation where one of your council members, Marco Fields, talked at length about your Heroes Gala coming up later this year, celebrating first responders and the plans to raise, close to $1 million in 1 year. And that kind of vision is just mind-boggling to think that, just 4 or 5 years ago, the Community Foundation really wasn't raising much at all. I think it was really a very low, if not non-existent amount. So I like to reward good partners, and when there's a really significant return on investment, it only makes sense to continue to partner. So thank you for that. So with that, I will call for the vote. All those in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
I'm opposed, no.
And that passes 2-1. Congratulations, Mike. Yep, thank you very much. So with that, we'll move on to item 5 for today, which is citizen comment, organization comments. At this time, you are welcome to comment about any topic other than what is scheduled on today's regular agenda. This is an opportunity to share your thoughts and ideas with us. If you would, please state your name and where you reside prior to making comments. You will have up to 3 minutes. Commissioner comments, if any, will follow all citizen comments. Is there any citizen comment in the room? Any citizen comment? Yes, ma'am. And if you want to just state your name and where you're from.
Catherine Michelson, Highlands Ranch, and I'd like to congratulate Mr. Teal and Mr. Layden on being more respectful to Commissioner Thomas in the public eye, at least. There are, however, some behind-the-scenes actions that we, the people, are aware of, like the Montana letter signed by Mr. Layden, which to we, the people, smacks of hypocrisy in that Mr. Layden won't restore our own Commissioner Thomas to her positions of chair and on committees. Let's be consistent here. We, the people, wish to know, in addition, who signed the appropriation of $17,400 for Abe Layden to go to Harvard for 3 weeks. That's taxpayers' money. The funny papers arrived again. What is the purpose of these postcards? Ms. Thomas is not running for office, and one of your own is being defamed. I think you would look into that. Colorado, as you may know, is one of the few states with a criminal defamation statute. Continuing, Ms. Thomas has worked for the state of Colorado for 26 years. She needs no further test of trust. She is a proven entity. We, the people, want Laura Thomas reinstated to her positions. In fact, in the elections for commissioners, Mr. Layden's vote tally was 104,000 votes. Mr. Teal's vote tally was 120,000 votes. Ms. Thomas's vote tally was 128,000 votes, 24,000 more votes than Mr. Layden. Mr. Layden, in fact, has fewer votes from We the People than any of the three of you. Who made him in charge? He is, in fact, usurping the franchise of We the People. You men have not gotten where you are by being mean. We the People ask that Laura Thomas be reinstated to her committees and to her to the position of chair, at least on a rotational basis. I'd like to suggest to the commissioners that Laura Thomas adopt a quote that Adlai Stevenson used in his highly incendiary run for president against Dwight Eisenhower in 1952 and 1956. I'd like Laura to adopt this quote. If they stop telling lies about me, I'll stop telling the truth about them. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, ma'am. Further citizen comment? Any additional citizen comment? Is there any additional citizen comment? Troy, is there any additional citizen comment online?
Thank you, sir. I have no online comment.
Okay. And with that, I'll bring it back to the board for any commissioner comments. Are there any commissioner comments?
You know, I've had 3 professions since becoming an adult. I was in the military. I enlisted, by the way, and rose into the officer ranks. I had a pretty good career in high-tech, software industry mostly. You know, I'm not Bill Gates, but I did okay. And then of course my time in elected public service that started as a part-timer down the road on the Castro Council, and of course culminating here today. And maybe it's because of my professional experience in the military and working in high technology, working in the software industry, that caused me to value continued education. And so, I mean, I'll just make the public comment. I believe in continuing education. I don't ever believe that we are going to hire somebody to do something, and this is speaking as a businessman as well as a county commissioner, but I don't ever expect us to hire somebody for something and not expect them to grow, not expect them to become something else. You know, we had Andy Howe in here, and Andy Howe in here, and in 20 years, I can assure you how closely I've worked with him. He has grown. He has expanded. He has achieved a fulfillment in that expectation that we had for him that we probably didn't have the first day he got hired. So I believe in continuing education, and I'll tell the county manager right now, I'll tell the county attorney. I expect the management practices of this county to encourage continuing education. And I do expect that we will take on those expenses for those worthy employees. My ask is that they be worthy employees of the public investment and the public trust. Abe, nobody asked me to sign that $17,000 so you can continue the public education, so you can continue the public trust that was placed in you. If somebody wants to put that in front of me, I'll sign it. I'll sign it right now. I'll put it on Facebook, because I guess I forget the amount of voters that did vote for you. They placed their trust in you. And we have the trust that you're going to continue to grow. You're going to continue to question yourself, the world around you, and you're going to continue to make good decisions for the people of Douglas County. So as far as who approved it, I'll approve it. I'll approve it right now. Go ahead and get it for me, and I will sign off on that. I expect nothing less than the managers of this county to do the same for worthy employees of this county.
Well, Commissioner Teal, thank you for that. And because it was raised, I'll speak to it briefly. I'm not sure it warrants a whole lot of discussion, but, for a county that operates with a $670 million budget, it is very clear and was made clear to me by Laura Leary, our Director of Human Services, that the county, quote, strongly supports the continuing education and professional development of our employees through a myriad of county-supported training programs. And during the last 5 years, the county has assisted almost 130 employees with tuition reimbursement and professional training to pursue all sorts of programs. So additionally, the 2023 budget for training is actually $663,000. So we actually really do believe in professional development for our staff and employees. And in fact, in a hearing that all three of us were at and approved, we saw an individual move from the clerk's office to IT through some training that we provided, and I'm very proud of her education, and am thankful that I have the support of our county manager, Department of Human Services, and my colleagues to continue my education at, frankly, the world's most significant public policy institute, the Harvard Kennedy School. I was recommended to that program by two phenomenal female Republican elected officials that said it was truly life-changing for them. One served as a commissioner and then was a legislator for a long time and really actively recommended that. So thankful for that. I really bristle at manufactured outrage. I think you are here because you have good intentions, and I think you want to support the good work of the county. But it's unfortunate to see citizens believe something that is just frankly categorically untrue. For us, I'll continue to support and reward board members that support the good work of the county. I will not reward a board member that actively undermines the work of the county. So I just want to be very clear about that. And then, finally, you mentioned the letter that I drafted. I didn't support when the House Republicans were censored in Colorado, and so I don't support censorship anywhere. When people in a public forum are told they can't speak, I'm going to stand up against that. I support your right to speak. I support anyone's right to speak, especially appropriately in a public forum. So with that, I'll ask if there's any additional commissioner comment.
I do have a question. Abe, you brought up the county's reimbursement program for education. Is that a 100% reimbursement program?
Well, and as I've made clear, and I'm not sure you have made clear when you've spoken out to the public, but I'm pursuing about 271 different fellowship opportunities that Harvard has recommended to me. In addition, I've also offered to reimburse out of my own personal funds as needed. So obviously that's an ongoing discussion, and I think I'm appreciative that you raised that. But did you have this isn't really a time for Q&A, but if you have a commissioner comment.
Well, you brought the topic up, so I was just wondering if we pay 100% or if it's a portion that we reimburse. That's all, since you brought it up.
All I read is what I got from Laura Leary, our Director of Human Services, saying that, again, for the last 5 years, over 130 employees of the county have been assisted.
Thank you.
You bet. Anything else? Let me move to any other business today? Okay. And then item 7 is our county manager's report, which is in our packet for today. Anything from the county manager? Okay, thank you, Doug. And with that, our next business meeting will be held on Tuesday, June 13th, 2023 at 1:30 p.m. Thank you very much. We'll begin our land use and public hearing in a few moments. Thank you very much.
So will we have commissioner comments?
I thought we just did commissioner
honestly
comments.
just thought we did that.
Oh,
But,
okay.
do you need more time for commissioner comments?
Well, we just had Public Works here, and so in the county manager report, there is a little highlight that we're all seeing a lot of potholes on the roads because of the expansion and the freezing and then the warming up. And so our Public Works Department has set up an email address for anyone who's listening or listens to this later. If you have a pothole on a street that's covered by unincorporated Douglas County, you can send an email to PW for Public Works Operations at douglas.co.us. They'll come out and take care of those potholes because they are responsive to you. So thank you for the time to announce that.
That's a good comment. Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Anything else from our board?
No, sir.
Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.